Imagine waking up tomorrow morning feeling truly rested, not groggy, not frustrated, not checking the clock after your second or third trip to the bathroom. Just one full night of deeper, more peaceful sleep. If you are over 60 and waking up often to urinate at night, you are not alone. And for many people, the issue is not only the bladder itself. Sometimes part of the problem starts much lower in the body, down in the legs and ankles. That is why today we are starting with one of the simplest and most overlooked steps in this bedtime routine, the ankle pump. It may look almost too easy to matter, but done at the right time, this gentle movement may help your body shift some of the fluid that builds up in your lower legs during the day, so your system can process more of it before you fall asleep instead of after. And that matters because for many older adults, nighttime urination is not always just about what they drank before bed. It can also be connected to what happens to fluid in the body once they lie down. Here is the basic idea. As you move through the day, gravity naturally pulls fluid downward. Over the hours, some of that fluid can collect in the feet, ankles, and lower legs. That is one reason some people notice mild swelling or heaviness in their legs by evening. Then bedtime comes. You lie flat, your body changes position, and some of that fluid begins to move back into circulation. Later, your kidneys filter it, your bladder fills, and suddenly you are awake in the middle of the night needing the bathroom. That is where the ankle pump may help. When you gently point and flex your feet, you activate the calf muscles. These muscles play an important role in helping move blood and fluid back upward through the legs. In a simple way, you are giving your circulation a little extra assistance before bed. And the timing is important. If you do these ankle pumps about an hour before sleep, you may help your body start moving some of that built-up fluid while you are still awake. That gives you a better chance to use the bathroom before bed instead of getting pulled out of sleep later in the night. It is a small movement, but sometimes small movements done consistently can make a surprisingly meaningful difference. Now, once we have started addressing what may be happening in the lower legs, we can move up to another area that often gets ignored, the lower back, hips, and backs of the thighs. At first, that may sound unrelated. What does your lower back have to do with waking up at night to urinate? In some people, quite a bit. When the lower back and hips feel stiff or tight, the whole body can have a harder time settling down at the end of the day. Tension in this area may affect comfort, relaxation, and the sense of physical ease your body needs before sleep. And then there are the hamstrings, the large muscles along the backs of your thighs. For many adults over 60, hamstrings gradually become tighter from years of sitting, driving, limited stretching, or simply normal aging. When that area feels restricted, the pelvis and lower back may also feel less comfortable. That discomfort can make it harder to fully relax at night. So instead of aggressive stretching, we use two gentle movements, the single knee hug and the hamstring glide. The single knee hug helps ease tension through the low back and hip area. It is calm, controlled, and comforting. The goal is not to force anything. The goal is simply to help the body soften. Then comes the hamstring glide. This is not about pushing into pain or trying to become more flexible overnight. It is just a gentle way to encourage a little more freedom of movement through the backs of the legs. Together, these two movements can help the body feel less compressed, less guarded, and more ready for rest. And when your body feels safer, softer, and more supported, it often becomes easier to settle into bed without that wired, tense feeling that keeps so many people awake. So before we move on to the next step, remember this. Better sleep is not always about doing one dramatic thing. Sometimes it starts by helping the body release fluid more efficiently, reduce physical tension, and prepare for rest, one gentle step at a time. Now we come to the final part of the physical routine, and in many ways, this is the step that helps everything settle. We have already encouraged fluid to move out of the lower legs. We have already helped release some of the tension through the back, hips, and hamstrings. Now, the goal is to help the whole body shift into a calmer state before sleep, and that is where leg elevation and slow breathing work beautifully together. Think about how the body feels at the end of a long day. Even when you are tired, that does not always mean you feel relaxed. Sometimes the body is exhausted, but the mind is still alert. The muscles are tired, but the nervous system is not ready to let go. That is why this step matters. It helps create the transition. First, get into a comfortable position. You can place a few pillows at the end of the bed or on the couch and rest your calves on top. Or, if it feels comfortable for you, you can lie down near a wall and place your legs up against it. The goal is simple. Let your feet rest a little higher than your heart for a few minutes. This position may help some of the remaining fluid in the lower legs return more easily into circulation. It is a quiet, passive step. You are not forcing anything. You are simply giving the body a little support and letting gravity assist. Now, while you are in that position, add the second part, diaphragmatic breathing. Place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. Then breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. Let the hand on your belly rise gently. Hold for 2 seconds. Then breathe out slowly for 6 seconds. That is the 4-2-6 pattern. In for 4, pause for 2, out for 6. What makes this helpful is not perfection. It is the slower rhythm. When the exhale becomes longer than the inhale, many people notice that the body begins to soften, the shoulders drop, the jaw relaxes. The mind becomes a little less busy. This type of breathing may help activate the body's relaxation response. It can support a slower heart rate, a calmer mental state, and an easier transition into rest. And when you combine that with leg elevation, you are helping both the body and the nervous system prepare for sleep at the same time. Stay there for a few minutes. Let your legs feel heavy. Let your breathing slow down. Let the day begin to loosen its grip. You do not need to force sleep. You are simply creating better conditions for it. And for many people, that is the real turning point, because better sleep often begins when the body no longer feels like it has to stay on guard. Now that we have covered the physical side of the routine, we need to talk about something just as important, your evening habits. Because even the best routine can only do so much if certain habits are working against you night after night. That is why I want to give you a simple framework that makes everything easier to remember. I call it the 3-2-1 rule. It is not complicated, it is not extreme, and for many people it can make bedtime feel much more predictable. Here is how it works. 3 hours before bed, try to finish eating. Late night snacking can feel harmless, especially if you are hungry or just used to having something small in the evening. But a heavy meal too close to bedtime may leave the body feeling too active when it should be winding down. Digestion takes work. And when your body is busy processing food, it may be harder to fully settle into sleep. So this first step is simple. Give your body a little more time to finish the day's eating before you ask it to rest. Next comes the number 2. 2 hours before bed, try to reduce fluids. For people who wake often to urinate at night, this step can be especially important. If you are drinking tea, water, or other beverages too close to bedtime, your bladder may still be filling while you are trying to sleep. That does not mean you should avoid hydration during the day. It just means it may help to shift more of your drinking earlier, so your body has more time to process it before bedtime. And of course, if you need a sip of water with medication, That is completely fine. Then we come to the number 1. 1 hour before bed, do the routine. This is where the timing starts to work in your favour. By doing the ankle pumps, the gentle back and hamstring movements, and the leg elevation with breathing about an hour before sleep, you give your body time to respond while you are still awake. That matters. Because if some of that fluid begins moving only after you are already asleep, there is a greater chance your bladder will wake you later in the night. But if you do the routine earlier, you create a window, a chance for the body to process that shift before your head hits the pillow, a chance to use the bathroom one last time before bed, a chance to reduce one more reason your sleep gets interrupted. And that is why the 3-2-1 rule works so well with everything we have already covered. It is not just about one exercise. It is not just about one breathing technique. It is about giving your body the right signals in the right order. Less food too late, less fluid too late, and the right routine at the right time. That is how you stop reacting to the night and start preparing for it. So now we have talked about timing, we have talked about movement, and we have talked about helping the body settle before bed. But there is one more piece that can make a real difference, and it is often overlooked. Your sleep environment. Because even when the body is tired, the brain still responds to what is happening around you. Light, sound, and stimulation in the last hour of the day can all affect how easily you drift off and how settled you feel at bedtime. Let's start with light. Light is one of the strongest signals your brain responds to. In the evening, bright overhead lights, television screens, tablets, and phones can all make the brain feel like it is still daytime. And when that happens, it may become harder to feel naturally sleepy. That is why a softer evening setup can help. About an hour before bed, try turning off the brightest lights in the room. If possible, use a small lamp with a warm, softer glow instead of harsh overhead lighting. The goal is not to make your home dark and uncomfortable. The goal is simply to give your brain a calmer signal that the day is winding down. It is a small change, but for many people, it helps bedtime feel less abrupt and more natural. Now let's talk about sound. For some people, the problem is not outside noise. It is the noise of their own thoughts. The moment the room gets quiet, the mind gets busy. It starts replaying conversations, reviewing tomorrow's plans, or circling around worries that feel louder at night. That is where gentle background sound may help. Soft instrumental music, quiet nature sounds, light rain, or ocean waves can create a more peaceful atmosphere without demanding your attention. The sound should not be exciting or dramatic. It should simply be steady, soft, and easy to ignore. Think of it as giving the mind something gentle to rest beside instead of leaving it alone with every thought that wants to speak up at once. When you combine softer lighting, less stimulation, and a calmer sound environment, the bedroom starts to feel different. It feels less like a place where you struggle to sleep and more like a place where your body knows how to let go. And sometimes that shift in atmosphere is exactly what the nervous system has been waiting for. We have covered a lot today. We talked about how fluid can build up in the lower legs during the day and how gentle ankle pumps may help move some of it earlier in the evening. We talked about easing tension through the back, hips, and hamstrings. We talked about leg elevation, slow breathing, the 3-2-1 rule, and creating a bedroom environment that supports better rest. That is a full routine. But before we finish, I want to leave you with one more simple tool that can help you learn what works best for your own body. A sleep diary. Nothing complicated, nothing fancy, just a few notes each day. You might write down what time you ate dinner, when you stopped drinking fluids, whether you did the routine, how many times you woke up at night, and how you felt the next morning. Over time, patterns often start to appear. You may notice that certain habits help. You may notice that certain foods, drinks, or late evenings make sleep harder. And once you begin to see those patterns, you are no longer guessing. You are learning from your own experience. That is powerful, because better sleep is not always about finding one perfect trick. Often it is about noticing what your body responds to and making a few steady changes that support it over time. And remember, you do not have to do everything perfectly tonight. Start with one step. Maybe tonight it is the ankle pumps. Maybe it is turning off the bright lights earlier. Maybe it is simply stopping fluids a little sooner and seeing how your body responds. That is enough. Small steps are still real progress. And when you repeat those steps night after night, they can add up in a meaningful way. And one more important note before we close: if you are waking often to urinate at night, or if this has changed suddenly, or comes with pain, burning, swelling, shortness of breath, or other concerning symptoms, it is a good idea to talk with your doctor. Sometimes nighttime urination has more than one cause, and it is always worth getting proper medical advice when something does not feel right. Now, I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me this: which step are you most likely to try first tonight? Will it be the ankle pumps, the breathing, the 3-2-1 rule, or changing the lights in your bedroom? And if you would like, let me know where you are watching from as well. I always enjoy seeing this community come together from different places. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of yourself, be patient with your body, and keep going one step at a time. Wishing you a calmer night and more restful sleep.